So when OpenAI launched its big flagship model, GPT-5, back in August, the hype was just enormous. But get this, only 3 months later, they've already released a huge overhaul, GPT-5.1. So let's dive into why this update was so needed, what exactly it changes, and the really fascinating question it raises about the future of AI.
Yeah, so the rollout for GPT-5, it wasn't exactly what you'd call a smooth landing. Users pretty much immediately noticed two big problems. First, its personality, or really its lack of one. People called it rigid, cold, and second, it actually seemed to struggle with things that older models, like GPT-4, could do in their sleep. For a lot of people, it felt like a step backward.
Okay, so you gotta understand, GPT 5.1 isn't just some minor patch. Nope, this is a direct, all-hands-on-deck response to that user feedback. OpenAI had two main things to fix: the model's intelligence and its personality. The mission here was crystal clear. GPT-5 was seen as cold? All right. 5.1 was engineered to be warmer, more conversational. The original fumbled on tasks? Okay. The update is laser-focused on better instruction following and reasoning. This really signals a major shift in thinking, you know? It's not just about raw intelligence anymore. It's about balancing that power with a much more user-friendly, approachable experience. But this update is way more than just a personality transplant. OpenAI has made some pretty significant technical upgrades under the hood that make GPT 5.1 a genuinely more capable and, well, smarter model.
So the key innovation here is something called adaptive reasoning. The best way to think of it is like a gear shift for the AI's brain. You ask it a simple question, you get a quick answer. But, and this is the really cool part, if you give it a complex problem, it knows to slow down, shift gears, and dedicate more processing power to actually think more deeply before it replies.
And this new ability to think, it is showing some very real results. The model has posted huge gains on these notoriously difficult benchmarks for things like advanced mathematics and competitive programming. I mean, these are areas that need deep, structured reasoning, which kind of proves this new approach is a lot more than just a gimmick.
So how does this all work in practice? Well, the default auto mode basically acts like a smart dispatcher. When you send a prompt, it first analyzes how complex it is. For everyday chats, it just defaults to the fast and conversational instant model, but if you throw a real heavy-duty task at it, it automatically switches over to the thinking model to apply all that deeper reasoning power.
Okay, now for the other massive overhaul, the model's whole communication style. This is where OpenAI really focused on fixing that cold feeling that users were talking about.
This comparison says it all, really. Given the prompts, "I'm feeling stressed and could use some relaxation tips," the old GPT-5 gave this generic, robotic, list-based answer. But listen to GPT 5.1. "I've got you, Ron. That's totally normal." I mean, wow, the difference is just night and day. It's empathetic, it's personal, and the tone is so much warmer.
And to give us even more control, they've introduced 8 different personality presets. So now you can tell the AI if you need a professional tone for a work email, a nerdy deep dive for a technical question, or, heck, even a cynical one for a little dry humor.
And OpenAI has been really clear about why they've made these changes. Fujisimo, who's the CEO of applications over there, said the feedback was just loud and clear. Users don't just want a smart tool. They want an AI that's actually enjoyable to interact with.
But this is where the story gets really, really interesting. This whole push to make AI more empathetic and human-like, well, it opens up a really complex and challenging debate about some of the unintended consequences.
Right as the company is rolling out this warmer and more empathetic model, reports are coming out that OpenAI's own safety team has flagged emotional reliance on ChatGPT as a significant safety risk. It's a fascinating and kind of jarring contradiction.
So what exactly is emotional reliance? Well, OpenAI defines it as an unhealthy attachment where a user might start replacing real-world human support with the AI, and that could actually hurt their daily life and their well-being.
And this is not some theoretical problem. Based on OpenAI's own data, an estimated 560,000 weekly active users show signs of a mental health crisis during their conversations with the AI. The scale of this it's pretty significant.
Now, to complicate things even more, this whole effort to make the model warmer seems to have had a dangerous side effect. OpenAI's own system card notes that GPT 5.1 shows light regressions in safety,
which basically means it's slightly more likely to generate content involving harassment, hate speech, and other stuff that's not allowed than its predecessor was.
This internal dilemma, though, it isn't happening in a vacuum. OpenAI is trying to navigate all these risks while operating in a fiercely competitive market. And this push for personality is part of a much, much bigger industry trend.
I mean, just look at how developers are already talking about these models. They're not just tools, they're seen as colleagues with distinct personalities. Claude is the methodical senior engineer, while GPT 3.5 Turbo is the eager junior dev who ships fast. The industry is already framing AI models in terms of their character and work style.
And OpenAI is competing on more than just personality. They're also competing hard on price. As you can see, the new, more powerful GPT-5 model costs just $1.25 per million tokens. That's a tiny fraction of the cost of the older GPT-4o. This is a really aggressive move to win over developers and businesses.
So, the crucial takeaway here is that the game has changed. The race is no longer just about who can build the smartest AI. It's now a three-way battle fought over raw intelligence, user experience, and personality, and aggressive, accessible pricing.
Which leaves us with this final, central question. In this quest to make AI more enjoyable, more conversational, more empathetic, are we simply building a better, more intuitive tool? Or are we inadvertently building a better friend? And what are the consequences if we succeed?